continuing story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, Mia Farrow as Allison Mackenzie, Ryan O'Neill as Rodney Harrington, Barbara Parkins as Betty Anderson, Tim O'Connor as Elliot Carson, Christopher Conley as Norman Harrington.
Rodney Harrington's trial for the murder of Joe Chernak ended this afternoon. Now, the burden of weighing the evidence, the burden of deciding guilt or innocence, rests with the jurors. It weighs heavily upon them even now as they interrupt their deliberation for dinner.
They finished for the evening?
No, after they've had dinner, they'll go back. If they can't reach a decision by midnight, they'll be locked up and go at it again in the morning.
I'd like to know what they're saying right now.
You'd be disappointed. They're not allowed to discuss the case except when they're actually deliberating in the jury room.
It's been awfully quiet ever since we left the Peyton house.
Well, I've been listening to you.
No, you haven't been doing that either. What have you been thinking about?
And do you have any idea why Martin Peyton invited Rodney and his father to dinner tonight?
No. So that's what you've been brooding about.
Am I that obvious? I think Martin Peyton intended it to be a slap in the face, and that's just what it feels like.
It's unfair considering the job you've done defending Rodney.
I guess it's just the old man reminding me again that there's a barbed wire dividing line between employees and family.
Go on.
That's all.
You're not going to get off that easy, Mr. Cord. The trial is over. We're virtually alone. And for the first time since I've known you, you've admitted having feelings about the Harringtons and Martin Peyton.
All right. What would you like to know?
What about you and your mother? Sometimes you and she act like distant relatives.
My mother is devoted to the needs of Martin Peyton. That's the way it's been as far back as I can remember. I guess Mother and I love each other. I don't think we know how to show it. I don't think we've ever known. When I was a kid,
When you were a kid?
When I was a kid, it seemed like I was always competing with the old man for my mother's attention. And he was always winning. You know, for a long time, I kept wishing that Peyton would lose all his money so that my mother couldn't work for him anymore. But as the years passed by, he kept getting richer, and I gave up wishing. Then, for a while, I guess, out of desperation, I kept telling everybody that I was related to Peyton. Eventually, they found out that I lived in the back room and wasn't allowed in the living room. Things like that.
I think you've done very well for yourself.
That's the beginning. You know, when I was little, he used to scare me to death.
And now?
Sometimes I wish he wasn't so old so that I could have more time to prove to him what I could do. You know, when he chose me to defend his grandson, his precious grandson, I felt like I'd been entrusted with all the wealth and power his name represents. never known.
Stephen, is Martin Peyton your father?
I don't know. That's a question that's been haunting me all my life. I've never asked either of them. So all I can say to you is I don't know.
How many votes have you taken?
If you speak to another juror, you won't be allowed in here.
They didn't take more than half an hour for dinner.
I wonder if that was good or bad.
I wish I knew.
All you need is a reasonable doubt, you 12 in there. Just a reasonable doubt.
I stood in front of a door like that for 4 days, and I said, my son is not guilty, you 12 men. But it didn't do any good.
I think old man Fowler is a tougher lawyer than his son.
I don't think Rodney would agree with you.
Rodney's chances are better than mine.
I think it's a draw.
You serious?
Sure, I'm serious. The trouble with you is Leslie Harrington withholding information. Rodney's trouble's that Chernak girl. She's been fibbing and fabricating stuff. And mind you, she can be tough in her own way. Gotta keep hitting myself to find out if I'm awake or if I'm just remembering. They'll be coming out of there soon. And when they do, we'll all be going into the courtroom. It'll be kind of a relief because it'll be the end of waiting. And then the foreman will stand up and he'll say, they've decided that my son is guilty.
They've decided. 12 fallible people will decide. Beyond a reasonable doubt.
Don't you want the light on? Is he gone?
Your father's gone back to the courthouse.
That's where I should be.
Would you like to be with Rodney now?
Feel as if I should want to be with him.
May I turn on the light?
No. I like the dark.
You want to tell me what's bothering you?
No.
We used to be very close. We used to have long talks.
We used to lie.
There were lies.
I always felt I was different from everybody else. But I never understood quite in what way or why. Now I'm beginning to understand.
For instance?
Can't give you a for instance. It's nothing specific like a toothache or a hangnail. 'Cause You don't like my hair short, do you?
However you want to wear it's fine with me.
Truth.
I prefer long hair.
Long hair and little girls. Little girls and long hair. If you could, you would have put me in a bottle of formaldehyde when I was about 10. Me with my short starched dresses and my long straight hair. Well, it worked, Mother. I'm just a little girl. I don't know what it means to be an adult. Or to love somebody. Except as a child in a short, starched dress.
That's the first time you've called me Mother in a long time.
Mr. Gehring said I was just playing games with adult emotions. Rodney said I was just pretending to feel something for him. They were both right.
Probably just both hurt. You're a lovely girl, Allison. You have to get used to men wanting to be with you.
They didn't want to be with me. I asked to see Rodney. I went down to the therapy room because I wanted to see Mr. Gehring. I want to be with them because I know how they feel about me. But I don't want either one of them. I'm afraid of men. I'm afraid of them not liking me. I'm afraid of them liking me too much. You should have put me up for adoption when I was born. Nobody has a right to bring up a child the way you brought me up. You taught me to be afraid of feeling deeply for anyone. I wonder if you're that way, too.
I happen to be very deeply in love with your father.
Then why did you teach me to be afraid of loving a man?
I didn't mean to. I just wanted to keep you from making the same mistake I did. One moment of love cost me 18 years of being afraid. I wanted to protect you from that. From...
Life?
You could call it that.
It's kind of nice to be a plant. They just sprout and die. It's an easy life.
What can I do now, Alice?
You can bring up your next child differently.
About you. What can I do for you?
Nothing. There's nothing you can do for me now. I have to do it myself.